This here is Boom Studios' Go-Go Power Rangers comic issue number 11, and it begins with Kimberly again in Drakon's world. She and Bulk take out some of Drakon's sentries at the field hospital. They are considering evacuating the place when suddenly Kimberly spots Matthew, heavily injured. She thought he was dead, and the usually fun-loving Matt says he likes Kimberly's current hairstyle. The doctor tells Kimberly that Matt tried to fight off an entire sentry team himself, which is why he's in bad shape. Bulk tells Kimberly they're going to have to evacuate. As Kimberly tells Matt they have to leave, the last remaining life force in Matt fades away and he dies. Drakon has now killed Jason, Billy and Matt. Kimberly vows to kill Drakon or die trying. So then why did this Kimberly turn evil? Picking up from the last issue, the two Kimberlys fight it out in the command center with future Kimberly having the edge. She kicks present Kimberly and she is momentarily stunned. Using this time out, she checks in on her Gravezord. Continuing with the Zord battle from the last issue, Matt is shielded from falling rubble as the Mastodon Dino Zord provides cover. As the Gravezord is about to take out Matt, it stops in its track as evil Kimberly asks if that's Matthew. So this must have been quite the shock for her to see Matt alive and well here. The Tyrannosaurus Dinozord then grabs hold of the Gravezord, allowing Matt to get away, but then the Gravezord escapes its hold and then impales the Tyrannosaurus. Evil Kimberly says she's about to pry Jason out from his Zord. With Billy and Trini unsure of what to do, it's actually Kimberly back at the command center who puts an end to the battle as she presses a button which energizes the command center and shocks evil Kimberly, snapping her bow. And with that, it appears evil Kimberly comes to her senses. But the other Rangers are still at it in their Dinozords. Trini and Billy Zords fire on the Gravezord, resulting in a large discharge of energy, and the Gravezord shrinking in size. Does that mean the Gravezord was enlarged by Rita? Speaking of Rita, her minions witnessed the fall of the Gravezord, and Rita deems this the perfect time to strike. We see Finster's creations on the table, and they're all monsters from the TV series, so it's a nice nod to them. Finster's not quite finished with his latest creations yet, so Rita allows him to continue working. At the command center, the Rangers return to see future Kimberly down. It becomes clear that she was under a spell, very similar to the one Tommy was under when Rita made him the Green Ranger. Destroying the Sword of Darkness freed him. In this case, destroying the bow shaped like two Sword of Darknesses freed Kimberly from her spell. The Rangers have some doubts whether this is just an act, but Zordon knows the hold on Kimberly is indeed broken. Future Kimberly is sorry for what she's done. Billy thinks they should learn more about what happened to future Kimberly in her timeline, but Zordon forbids this as they're not certain which reality this Kimberly is from. A good point, because if this Kimberly is from their future, knowing too much could change the course of time. Back at school, the Rangers talk with Matt. He tells them that the Gravezord said his name, so he's even more convinced that he's involved in the Rangers' battles. He wants to return to the place where the Gravezord shrunk down, but the Rangers tell him not to because he's not a superhero. Matt promises not to do anything crazy without checking with them first. So he'll probably check with them, then go regardless. At the command center, Kimberly sees future Kimberly fixing her bow. Her intention is not to fix the bow to fight Kimberly, just that she never knows when she might need it. Kimberly just wanted to ask future Kimberly if her parents get back together. However, her lips are sealed. Kimberly understands and says she'll go to the juice bar and down triple shakes until she can't think. And for the first time, there's a genuine smile from future Kimberly as she wants to go down with her. She borrows clothes from Kimberly's mum to try and fit in, and she sees Bulk playing on an arcade game. She calls out to him, but of course he's never met this older Kimberly before. She says she's Sally, Kimberly's older cousin, and that she's heard all about him. She gives him a hug as she says, "Bring it in, Magellan." It was established that Bulk likes history, so this was a reference to Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese explorer. It's great to see future Kimberly have some fun again after all she's been through and seeing old faces alive and well. She has 7 milkshakes in an hour and then asks if Ernie has any chunky peanut butter. Future Kimberly then definitely had it tough in her own timeline. She sees Kimberly not looking happy and she tells her she's got a lot on her mind. Future Kimberly says her life will never be short on problems. She has to enjoy the in-between moments. It's a good lesson for a Power Ranger, but actually it's also a good lesson for real life as well. This was a nice moment between the two, as Future Kimberly finally gives Kimberly some advice. But then Matt shows up. Kimberly tries introducing him to Future Kimberly as Sally. Matt says the two could be sisters, for obvious reasons, and Future Kimberly excuses herself as she's overwhelmed by seeing Matthew alive here. She sees this as a second chance. Does that mean she's going to try and protect him to change their future? Anyway, she hears a voice calling out to her as the Ranger Slayer. She powers up and sees Lord Drakon. Kimberly says Finster 5 sent her on this mission to save Drakon. He tells her things have changed. Well, this is due to Kimberly travelling too far back in time, and now with Shattered Grid happening, things are playing out differently. Drakon says once he's powerful enough, he will be able to access the Morphin Grid itself and return Kimberly to her place by his side. So is that Drakon's ultimate goal? He tells Kimberly he killed Tommy in another reality. Kimberly asks if that was such a good idea, but then alarm bells ring for Drakon as she's never questioned him before. He then asks where her bow is. Kimberly removes her helmet, showing her anger, which is how Drakon learns that her mind is clear again. He says this will be the last time they see each other, but Kimberly tells him she's going to return and she will kill him. Drakon leaves without killing her because he thinks there's nothing she can do to change his plans. At the command center, Future Kimberly is already there working on something when Billy walks in. He sees her accessing Alpha's personal archives, so he asks if Alpha gave her permission to do this. She tells him she's helping to track someone down, but not telling him too much because of what Zordon said about knowing about the future. Billy understands and says it'll be easier from the main control room. Kimberly is alarmed, so she stuns Billy, leaving him unconscious on the ground. She didn't want to hurt him, she just did so because it would interfere with her plans of stopping Drakon. So it seems this Kimberly will do whatever it takes because she doesn't want to watch her friends die again, especially Billy. And whatever she has up her sleeve, if she succeeds, Billy will never even know what she's done. So perhaps she'll go back in time before she battles the Rangers? Anyway, the issue ends here with 2 new monsters attacking the city. So it looks like Finster's latest monsters are finally ready. This was a good read, and I enjoyed seeing Future Kimberly having some fun after seeing her dark intros and ruthless side to her in battle. It's also interesting how the writers basically rehashed the Green with Evil plot devices. This being a prequel to the main comics events do make me wonder though, how will this reconcile with that timeline? I mean, we essentially have a Pink with Evil arc here, with the Bow of Darkness and freeing Kimberly from her spell. But in the main comic there would have been the Green with Evil events and the destruction of the Sword of Darkness. So would the Rangers in the main comic have knowledge on how to beat Tommy because of what happened here? Maybe their memories will be erased once Shattered Grid concludes. Or maybe Shattered Grid will result in this becoming a different timeline altogether. Kimberly's last words in this issue do make me wonder what her plan actually is, and if she succeeds, what will happen to the timelines.